All right, guys. So listen, I'm just going to get started. I think it's recording. So what we want to do today on this particular call with this success kind of a story is, as you guys know, we have the mindset workshop coming up. And what I wanted to do is bring this amazing couple on here and have them kind of share their story, because they've went through some amazing journey. And one of the cool things about this particular couple is they are just amazing human beings. I feel so blessed to not only be able to be in their life, and some of you guys probably have seen it on the app. I think, Roseanne, you posted, I think it was just in our group that you posted me being at your house a couple of days ago. So, but yeah, it is amazing that I feel like I'm part of their family. And I think they're going to probably explain a little bit more as we're going along. So before we jump in, why don't you guys just share about who you guys are, right? You know, the names, where you guys from, and a little bit of a background on you guys, like the family and things like that, before we jump in.
So, my name is Jay Rissler, as I guess you probably already know, joining the conference, but my wife Roseanne, and we have five boys, ranging from 5 to almost 15. Birthday next week. So we live here in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, South Central Pennsylvania. Been here for ever since we got married, I guess. And we find it in between. Her folks live in New York, and my folks live in Kentucky, so it's kind of halfway in between there. Seems to work out fairly well for as far as traveling back and forth and seeing family, but a little bit about us, I guess.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Roseanne?
I don't know. We said ever since we married, we lived in this area. That's been 17 years here in June, so it's been a while, but it goes very fast.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how that works? Right, because I mean, when you guys came into Lifeonaire, I think your youngest was 1.5, 2 years old, I think.
Probably so, because he's 5 now, and we've been right at 4 years.
Okay. Somebody I think Ellen just said it's hard to hear you, Roseanne. So either if you can speak up or get closer to the microphone, I think that will be good. So project your voice a little bit. All right. So listen. So you're married, been married, 5 kids. Sometimes I say 6, but Roseanne's like, Peter, you better 5 kids. All right. What do you do for a living, Jay?
It will be 6 in a few weeks.
That's right. Or 7 or 8 or 9.
Peter?
All right. So tell us what you do for a living, Jay.
Well, that's a tough question to answer, Peter. I guess the answer probably sums me up best is entrepreneur. I enjoy taking risks to starting businesses and what goes along with starting businesses. And what do? My saying's always been whatever it takes, but I know it doesn't say everything. But in 2001, I guess I feel that's when life really started happening for me. I was 19 years old, and I had the opportunity to go to upstate New York to help do the make maple syrup. You know, pick sap, get the sap out of trees, and make maple syrup. And that was a month-long project there. They was looking for someone to help me, being young and not tied down too much. I'm like, hey, that might be a good opportunity for me to, just get out of town for a little bit and go do something different. My cousin lived in upstate New York. And so I went up there for a month and did that project. It's something, wow, I'd love if all my boys could do something similar to that, whether it's that or something else. It was a good experience for me as a young person to get out and go do something like that. And anyways, my cousin lived there, as I said, and he did power washing. And on the weekends, I would help him do the power washing trucks and buildings and such. And after my 1 month was up, I thought, man, I kind of like this, and he was kind of looking for someone to help him do the power washing, so I stayed there all that summer down to about September, helping him do that. Trying to decide if I wanted to stay up there or what I wanted to do, but I kind of got, well, I like to say I got water in my veins. And so I came home and started the next year, I started the power washing business. That was the start of my entrepreneurship, I guess, of really picking up and enjoying and seeing the hustle and what you can do with, a little bit of hustle. Since then, we have done quite a few things, I guess. Along with that, I started rehabbing some rental houses along the way, keeping some rental houses, and for a long-term investment, and also something to keep my guys busy with. In the power washing, in the wintertime, a lot of times it gets slower, and so I can pick up a house in the wintertime and have them help me rehab it through the winter. So it's my job security. Come spring, we rent the house out and have a long-term rental. So after that, then I had an opportunity. I guess that was from 2001 until 2014, we had bought out another company and had grew the company substantially. Ran into some tough times in '08 a little bit. And started joining and going to some seminars and joining some other groups, reading more, watching videos, whatever I could just get some motivation and enlightenment, whatever, to help me to grow. During those years, I'm going to say '08, '09, '10 were years where I really realized that reading books and videos and going to seminars, that type of thing, became, I don't know, almost an obsession of mine because of the growth. I found out then that I enjoyed growth. And the next couple of years, even though the '08 went down, '09 we came back strong, 10, 11 from there on till 2014. And in 2014, I told my wife one day, I'm like, I love what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it, but I don't think I want to really hire any more employees and grow the business anymore. And I'm afraid if I don't continue this growth thing, I'm going to get bored. I'm going to get burned out and bored, and the business isn't going to do as good. I told her, I said, I want to start looking around for something else to do. I'm not sure what, no rush, next 2-3 years. Well, God must have heard me talking, I guess. And within the next 3 weeks, we just had some things just land in our lap that I can't explain except for God put it there, and me being a risk taker, but more of a slow, calculated risk taker. Kind of amazing I made the decision that fast, because there was a company, an auction company, that was looking for an area rep for here in my area, and they were kind of running behind. They had tried 1 or 2 other guys, and nobody was really sticking with it, and nothing, it just wasn't panning out for them. So it's kind of getting a little desperate for somebody to take over this area. Anyway, they bumped into them, and they asked me, the question was asked, he's like, hey, do you know anybody looking for a job in the area? I'm like, nah, man, sorry, I don't. I wish I could find some good help, and an hour and a half later of talking back and forth, I'm like, well, maybe I am looking for a job. On my terms, that was as a contractor. Instead of as an employee, we set it up as a contractor. I feel there's a lot of differences and more freedoms in being a contractor. And so, what was it? Within 2 weeks, I'm going to say a week and a half, I had gave my consent that yes, I'll come on board and help them out for this area, which meant selling some of my business because I'm like, I don't want to. There's no way this new gig there working with the auction company. It's too big of a gig to continue pursuing the power washing business and making it a sustainable business, keep it going without probably bringing on more management. I'm sure I probably could have, but that's not what I was looking for.
All right.
So I agreed to that, buckled down, and started looking for a buyer for my power washing business. And we did find a buyer. This was in November of 2014. And my goal is to have a buyer by spring, because if I go through another year and I let the power washing, the sales go down, it'd be a tough sell to try to sell the business with the numbers, going down. So I'm like, I have to sell this business. I got to go. It's got to go. And so in that, there was a lot of push that, just to sell it and try to sell a specialized business as a power washing business on a quick notice. That's kind of a little tough to find somebody that's wanting to buy that. It just so happened
let's fast forward a little bit. So, because I want to make sure that the audience here gets what was the differences, what happened for you, and that kind of stuff.
So we did wind up selling the business off. We started the auction business, and that's basically probably our main thing between. We still are doing some power washing. We sold off 3/4 of the power washing. We still doing one of the agricultural part of the power washing. So we're still doing that. We're working with the auction company, selling government surplus. We still have the rental houses and a couple other little small gigs on the side that me and the boys play around with, some online sales.
Yeah. I love that. By then, we'll touch on that a little bit, because boys are kind of getting into this entrepreneurial kind of a thing, and they're selling different things and stuff, which is kind of cool, right? So you guys come into Lifeonaire. Well, you guys come across Lifeonaire, come to the event, and at that particular time, I think you were working like around 80 hours a week. You've been constantly on the yard.
Yeah, I was always working long hours, well before the sun came up, and worked right till supper time, and sometimes after supper a lot of times. So yeah, Saturdays.
All right, a lot of that. So what had you quickly, why'd you join the Lifeonaire? Why'd you end up coming into Lifeonaire?
It's kind of interesting. Me and my wife sit down this morning just a little bit and discuss some of the things, prior to Lifeonaire. And probably my real goal was right over that time, I was, really into the growth thing. And I was wanting to expand into the real estate more. And I went to different seminars and almost got took by one of the gurus. Because I was so hungry for knowledge and growth to go. I'm like, hey, whatever it is, I just want to go. I don't want to wait around 10 years to learn it on my own. I want it now. Mm-hmm. And that, I feel God saved me on that. And then about a month later, Lifeonaire was in our area at a RIA meeting. And I'm sitting there the whole time going through the RIA meeting. I'm like, I'm not buying, I'm not buying, I'm not buying, I'm not buying. I'm not there, what for specials they're running, I'm not buying. Well, through the presentation, I guess something that really stood out to me is the spiritual aspect behind it of different Bible verses that were used and things. And that really struck me like, okay, so. And then right after the RIA meeting, they offered the 3-day Get a Life, I guess it's called. And they said the offer, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I went and spent 3 days learning how to max out my credit cards and just go crazy on the real estate. That didn't seem right. What do I got to lose spending a couple $100 going and seeing the flip side of the coin where they're going to tell me that, hey, try to do it debt free. So I'm like, sure, let's do that. Well, went through the Get a Life, And by the time I come out of that, I'm like, man, I believe this is what I'm looking for. I went to different other events. I just reminded this morning we were discussing. I went to a 10X seminar in Florida, just looking for information, and I feel God led us to Lifeonaire, and it's been huge for us.
Awesome. Very good. Then you come in Lifeonaire and get me, and you're like,
yeah, I mean, that's what's the chance?
So we'll talk about the whole, like, as some of the things that you got out of the coaching and what was the reason that it changed for you, because there's a lot of, listen, I know these guys because you guys have been in the coaching for a long time here, for a while now, 3 years about, and the transformation that you guys had, in my eyes, it's like day and night, not only for Jay, but Roseanne. And so before we go into that particular aspect, tell the team, the people here, where you at right now? Like, what were you able to do now as far as what has been happening in the coaching? And then we'll talk about why that is. Like some of the things like we just talked about over the past, couple of days, and you guys went on that vacation. So that was kind of a cool thing for you to do, and so talk a little bit about that, some triumphs kind of thing.
So you get me talking about some of these things I'm passionate about, Peter, so you might have to rein me in every now and then.
I'll bring you in.
So
Roseanne just punched him over there, like on the side and the shoulder.
So with the auction business came so many opportunities between driving truck, dispatching trucks, doing mechanical work on the yard of the items that were coming in, the paperwork that went along with all this. And as an entrepreneur, just hungry for all the above, whatever that may be, growth, significance, and money. All these opportunities just flashed in front of me. I'm like, wow, I couldn't get enough of it. I just went crazy on them. And anytime an opportunity came up, I would just man, it makes money. So why would you turn down a perfect opportunity that makes a lot of money? And so I was into so many of these things that it took all my time, basically. It was taking all my time. It was taking my life. I was stressing out over this. If we, occasionally we would go on a short vacation or something, a weekend or whatever, and half the time I was spent on the phone or the computer or something, taking care of business. And that was life. That's what I did. I enjoyed it. I thought I did anyways. I did. And, but the problem was my children were suffering, my family was suffering, and that became more apparent to me, I guess, after I joined Lifeonaire, that so one of the questions they asked me, what's important to me? What's priorities to you? And I'm like, well, first off, my family's, they're important to me. And after a couple retreats and talking with Peter, I realized that I wasn't acting as if they were important to me. I said they were, but the amount of time I spent with them, they obviously were not. So with that, we have changed a lot of things in our business, having Peter, I guess Peter has worked with me in recovering, or not recovering, but retraining my mind, I guess, and focus from being the type of mentality that if I don't do it myself, it probably won't get done or done right. He's still working with me on some of these, and we'll get there. But I realized that I don't have to do everything. Other guys can do it as well. If I just back up and give them the space to and allow them to show me that they can do these things. I tend to be more of a micromanager, and that caused problems, I guess, in allowing my guys, my employees, to grow. and grow into what they need to do to be able to help me. And so after much coaching, I finally set a date and said, look, November 2019, November the 12th, I think it was November the 12th, 2019. That's my last day on the yard, working, as a worker, a laborer, or whatever. I gotta have my things in order by then. I'm quitting. So I kind of made that goal early in the year, back in March maybe of the year, and I'm just like, by November, I got to have this together. And as a reward / proof that I've got my ducks all in the same pond, we set a date to take a 3-week vacation, and that'll light the fire under you, man. That'll get you motivated and moving and hiring the proper guys you need and putting systems and procedures in place that needs to be done in order for me to be able to pull away like that. And so I pretty much worked solid on that yard right up until the last day, man. Right for the last day. I had to be there. And then, we took a 3-week trip. We went to Costa Rica. We took all the boys, our family, went to Costa Rica for 3 weeks. And I was on the phone a little, did a couple emails here and there, but had a lot of it under control. Maybe 1 hour a day or something. First thing in the morning, I'd get up and take care of some business. And so, wow, what an experience. What an experience to go out of country with the family and just relax, go fishing, sit on the beach, ride horses on the beach, zip line, just live like a local there for the most part for 3 weeks. That was rewarding, and also very rewarding once I came home and realized that my whole place hadn't blew up while I was gone.
Yeah, it still was running, right? Yeah.
It was still working, yeah. So after that, then I don't know, there was something that broke during that time that, I don't know. I have no desire to go back and work on the yard and do the labor. I mean, I enjoy that kind of work. I have no problem doing it. But I've got other things to do. I got family to take care of. I've got church projects, whatever it may be, that I want to spend more time on. So it's been huge. It's really been huge. What I think I told Peter last week was I'm having trouble finding time to get down to the yard where the employees work, even 1 or 2 hours a week, just to check in with them. I found other things now to stay busy with that's not so in depth and spending a lot more time at home with the family. And that was unheard of 2 years ago, 3.
Yeah, I totally get that, man, because I mean, I've been there myself, in different kind of a business, different kind of situation. But I think a lot of people that come to Lifeonaire, they go through this process because, like you mentioned earlier, like if I don't get it done, it's not going to get done. Nobody can do it as good as me, all that kind of stuff, right? And then the people who are closest to us a lot of times get put on the side because I got to do this, I got to do this, right? I remember you when you came in, one of the things that you kept repeating to me for a little while, you said to me, like, I got to do this now because I'm still healthy and all that kind of stuff. So I got to go and work like my hair is on fire kind of thing in your own way, because later on, I won't be able to kind of thing, right? And for you, the thinking was, I got to work hard to make this work, and set this up.
So that's good you brought that up, because I think I had a wrong mindset about how life was and how short life is, I guess, because my mentality is I'm young, healthy, and I know the sooner you can get started in life, especially with, investments and money or whatever, the sooner you can, it compounds and comes out way ahead. Time is your friend in that case. And so my thinking was always is I'm going to put the time in now. I'll burn the candle on both ends because I love my children so much that I want them to have this wonderful life and be able to afford all these things and, live where we want to and these type of things. But the problem is by the time I would ever arrive and reach that point, shoot, they'd be married and gone already. I missed all their childhood. And so that was probably the biggest mind shift that Peter helped me realize is, look, man, enjoy them today, because 20 years from now, when you have the money, you may have the money, you won't have the children. So it's been a huge mind shift to me in that to what actually really is important and priority to me. Is it a bunch of money? Yes, I enjoy working and making money, but I see that, number one, you ain't taking that with you. The children are, my relationships with my children is way more important than any money can mean to me. And so that's, really.
That's a touchdown in my book, right? I get shivers just hearing you say that because, I have kids. I know a bunch of people who are on this call have kids too. So when you start looking from that, you see what really matters, right? Roseanne, what's your take on all this as she's talking about it? And you've seen him go through all this transition, and have you had your own growth, which you can touch on that too, but what did you see throughout this whole process for him?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the thing that he said, working hard now to prepare for the future versus taking time now to build those relationships and to have time with the children so that when they are grown, they even want to be with us and, have that relationship built. So there's definitely been a change in that for both of us, actually. We were talking about this morning that our older boys would have never had any idea what going on a date with mom or dad meant. And now that is a part of life. And our 5-year-old, pretty much, I'm going to say weekly, probably not daily, but he's like, Mom, can we go on a date? I'm like, sorry, it's not your turn. We got the other boys, But, it's just amazing to me that there has been a change, that we both have become more intentional about building relationships with them.
Right. So I hear intentionality, right? I hear being present. You guys were talking about that. Jay kind of touched on that, right? And, one of the coolest things that I get to experience as a coach, last past weekend, we had an event in Lancaster, and afterwards, you guys were like so freaking gracious to invite me into your home. So I was over there and I hung out with you guys, and I see, your boys are just awesome. I love these kids. Like I feel like whether you like it or not, I feel like I'm in the family, right?
Awesome.
So
good.
So, like one of them comes up and shows me the guitar that he's playing. And another one, the oldest one, is playing banjo. Third one is playing on the piano. The youngest one is showing, high-fiving, how he is and all that kind of stuff, right? So he's trying to do different things with me. But I feel like looking at you guys, almost in a way, what ends up happening is as you guys are living your life on their vision and you're going and being intentional in that, it seems to me, at least, that it's rubbing off on your kids. Like they don't have maybe necessarily like written out visions, but you guys are encouraging them. And I think it's that vision is rubbing off on them to where they're doing their own little versions of visions. Right?
And I think even just the idea, that they know we go 3 times a year to learn and to grow. And it feels to me like it's setting them up to have better mindsets than what we were in our 20s and 30s. If they can start out from small and get some of these mindsets the way they should be, how much further will they go than we have?
Right. Awesome. Yeah. And by the way, one of the big things I remember on the vision when you first came in, Jay, you wanted to do the ham radio and you could never get to it. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, it's something I always wanted to do for years as amateur radio, ham radio. And it just seemed like it was always something that was, I don't know, just took a lot of work and I don't know, different things that required a lot of time for one. That's something I didn't have, which for me, it finally boiled down to, I guess in one of our retreats or something I read is, you know, the part of no regrets. And thinking of the no regrets thing, I almost feel for a lot of people, especially myself, looking at myself, I feel the regrets that I am going to have is going to be mostly things that I did not do. That may be different for someone else, I don't know. But for me, I feel it's going to be a lot of things. I wish I would have done this. I wish I'd have started earlier. I wish. And so last year, I finally said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm getting older. If I am going to do this, I guess I got to buckle down and do it. I got to put it on my priority list and start doing it. So last, I guess in February, there's 3 different stages, 3 different licenses. And last February, a year ago, I went and got the first level, and then the boys, my 2 oldest boys, they kind of fanned the flame, something new for them, and they all of a sudden was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Let me see if I can take a test. So by July, they went and got their test last year. So that's been an exciting thing, you know, playing, working with the radios and things together. That's been kind of a hobby, working together. And now we're currently working on studying to get the next level, which I'm hoping here by August we'll be moving into the second one. So faster I can get this done, the faster I can move on to becoming an airplane pilot, which is I'm really looking forward to. I remember sitting in school when I was, I don't know, 8, 10 years old when I was supposed to be studying. I'd sneak the encyclopedia there at school and sit there and read about airplanes, and it's a dream that died, you know, just busy. So once I get my ham license out of the way, and license there, I want to pursue that dream.
Awesome. I love it. And the thing is, it's allowing you guys to look at those kinds of things because you guys have it on your vision, being intentional and putting that in place. And look, I mean, I was at this event at the weekend at your house, and your oldest is talking about a ham radio and how do you guys going to put a different antenna maybe and all that kind of stuff. And it's really cool to see, like they get excited about it. And I think you told me at one point that one of your boys was talking with somebody in London, and it was like the coolest thing for him, right? To go and have that experience. So Roseanne, go ahead.
Matter of fact, just today at lunchtime, it came up and he was, hey, Daddy, I just made a contact and talked over to Scotland, he said this morning. So
wow.
So with that, yeah, it's fun working together in a hobby like our playing together, I guess you'd say. And talking about the airplanes, I got a huge feeling I'll have a couple pilots in in our family, possibly time
right.
All said and done, I'm guessing.
Awesome. So you got 5 boys. You got maybe a pilot or 2. You need to come up with some kind of a pastor in the family. That would be good, right? Maybe an attorney, right, in the family, and a doctor, right? And then you're all set. You got all those things, and all right. So listen, before I want to get into like, what do you think was the biggest reasons why you guys were able to accomplish this? But I want to get a little bit of a glimpse from Roseanne, because it seems like it's all about Jay, because Roseanne did a lot of cool things. Give us a little, 5-minute synopsis, what you've been able to accomplish throughout this whole thing.
So one thing that I think of first is, I know on the email or whatever you had said about 55 pairs of jeans. And the interesting thing is right now, today, there is 53 pairs of jeans hanging on my line. And that is one place where Peter helped me to think through. I enjoy doing laundry. I enjoy hanging up my jeans on the line and getting them dried. But that was one thing that it felt like in my life could be, someone else could do that to give me more time to prioritize. So we did hire a young girl to come. She comes every Thursday for 5 or 6 hours. She helps do the laundry and does the cleaning. And Thursday mornings has become our time where Jay and I have set aside for getting together for a few hours, just to call them life meetings, just to discuss things, whatever it may be in all aspects of life. And another thing I'm sure that you're looking for is, after sitting through a few retreats and hearing other people in the group talk about health goals, and one I remember distinctly said, "You're going to walk 100 miles by the next 4 months," and I just shook my head and think, unbelievable. But after a while, I decided, it might not be the worst thing to try. So I started out very small, set a goal for, I don't remember exactly, a few miles a week. And I think this is close to 3 years now that I've started intentionally walking, and I have set my goal at 10 miles a week. And that is not like just a daily step counter. That's, I would say, almost all of it is outside. Specifically, I'm starting to walk. I'm going to walk until I come back. So at this point in this year, I think I'm a little over 310, something like that, miles for this year. Last year, to the end of the year, I had 550 miles. And
you say 550, right?
550.
Yeah. How many miles did you do altogether since you started? I'm just curious.
Oh, I haven't checked that in a while. I'm going to guess between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm not sure. I didn't check. But one of the biggest things for me in that is I've come to realize it's a lot more than just physical exercise and health benefits as far as, like weight loss or that. But it also is a huge thing mentally and emotionally. I really, if I don't go, I miss it. And that's just, I get out of bed in the morning and I go straight out the door, and the whole day it helps. I am not a morning person, unlike Jay, who gets up very early. But for me, it has totally changed how I feel starting the day. Like, I know back before I did go for a walk, I just crawl out of bed at the last minute, go straight to the kitchen to make breakfast for the family, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. And now I've already been outside, got fresh air, and feel much more ready to start the day.
Yeah, awesome. And by the way, all the kids know that this is mom's time for walking, right?
Yep.
And are they cool with that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it was one morning this week, I'd just coming back in, and the 5-year-old was sitting on the porch waiting. "Hi, Mom, you come back," and I have sometimes we'll go again in the evening once things are finished up for the day. And mornings is my time. No one goes along with me then, but in the evenings, different times, some of them will want to go along. And so, yeah, we'll go together and just have a nice walk together.
All right. So let me ask you this, because there are some moms probably on this call. And I know for you, the big thing for you was like me time. I mean, who am I to go after a me time and all that kind of stuff? Is it possible? What would you tell them, moms on the line here?
I would say that it is definitely worth the effort, the priority, because, like I said, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you're not feeling filled up with your own, energy and all, how are you going to give to your family? How are you going to have the energy the emotional strength maybe to deal with the daily children, what all that involved. And so to get out and take some time for yourself and make sure you are taken care of makes it possible to take care of the others.
Awesome. And with 5 boys, you need a lot of energy. Ask me how I know. I'm a boy, right? There used to be one. All right, listen, guys. So if anybody has any questions for Jay and Roseanne, post them in the Q&A section, and I'll ask them if they're open to that and kind of questions. And as before we, if I see any kind of question, I'll ask them. But what do you guys think was some of the biggest reasons why you were able to get here from there to here kind of thing? Like, what were the reasons? How did you guys make that transition? What happened there?
I feel like a lot of it is how you're looking at things and your mindset, like we kind of talked about with Jay and even myself, to stop focusing on the future, and what we're going to have is to realize that today is your opportunity. Today is important, and to be able to change your thinking, your mindset on that.
Okay. Jay, do you have anything? What do you think was the biggest things for you that made you get off the yard, for instance?
It's a mind shift, man. A mind shift from knowing what's important. It's one thing to say that it's important to you. It's another thing to show it's important. And that was a big thing for me, I guess. But a mind shift, of different things. I remember I was having so much trouble finding good help. And some of that, I think, was totally mind shift as well. And working with Peter working with me, just a mind shift of, hey, there is good guys out there. There is good help. And just by doing that, I feel I tore down the walls and allowed that to come in into my life. Just so many things like that. I feel it's a lot of life is mind shift. And I've said years ago, a long time ago, me and another one of my close friends, we talk a lot, and I'm convinced that positive attracts positive. I don't understand it. I can't explain all this stuff, and I still can't to this day, but it does. If you think that way, you're going to see it. And I do believe it'll come your way. So whether it's employees or thinking that they can or they can't do something, if you think they can or you think you can't, you're right. Who said that? Henry Ford, I think, said that maybe. And it's so true. So it's mindsets is what it is.
Yeah.
Not the reason I joined Lifeonaire for. But I found out
crazy? Yeah.
so much more to learn than just about, doing more real estate deals. As a matter of fact, I haven't done much real estate as far as expanding since I joined Lifeonaire, but I realized that wasn't my priority exactly. I mean, I still enjoy it, and I still want to continue doing so. It's not the biggest thing in my life.
Awesome. Did you have something, Roseanne?
Along with that idea of it made me think of a quote that you say to us a lot, where focus goes, energy flows. And I actually had it on my phone screensaver for a long time. Like, what you think about what you think is going to happen most likely will, because that's where your energy is going to channel to.
Right. By the way, I have something here to show you. You recognize this?
I know that stuff.
So, by the way, that was from Roseanne. She gave me, I think she was trying to tell me something. Hey, Peter, remember where focus goes, energy flows, right? Awesome. Very cool. So listen, we got a question from Clark here. He's asking, I don't know if he's asking either one of you guys. Well, see what you guys have to take. What was the hardest thing to overcome and how did you do it?
hardest thing to do is, probably for me, it's just that thing of getting off the yard, getting off the day-to-day grind, of thinking that nothing's going to get done around here unless I'm here to keep things together. I kind of touched on this just a little bit, but Peter told me over and over, he said, man, I got a feeling, he said, some of your guys, your top guys, that if you would back away and give them more responsibility, he said, it wouldn't surprise me a bit, he said, if they would step up to the plate and surprise you. And I'm like, man, I'm telling you, Peter, I don't know. I don't see that.
Yeah.
Skills in these guys, man. I don't see it. But hey, I got to try something. And so I did, I had a talk with the one guy that would make a good lead guy, and started giving him and talking to him as if it was his yard. It's not my yard, it's your yard. How's things going? How's I'll come and I talk with him in such a way and let him know that, hey, you're the manager here, and wow, I was surprised. Peter was right. I was surprised. He stepped up to the plate and did very well. As a matter of fact, this week we helped him take a trip to Costa Rica this week as well. He's gone this week.
Awesome. All right. Then the yard is still working.
And it's still working, yes.
All right. Good. All right. So, and one thing that I just heard that I think hopefully you guys heard what he just said. This was important. When he started looking at his employees, and by the way, for those of you who are going to the Business Builder workshop that we're doing next month, we're going to be talking about employees a lot. But when you start looking at your employees, one shift that he made is he said, this is your yard. That's your right. And now that employee, he takes the ownership, a little bit of it, and he starts interacting, start thinking and doing and saying stuff and doing whatever it takes to actually make that happen. The other thing that we did between me and Jay is we looked at some of the different employees and we said, hey, is this guy in the right position or do we need to put him in here and that kind of stuff? I know you don't have a lot of different moving parts, but I do a lot of stuff with different students to look at, okay, is your your employee working in a position that he's made for, right? If the guy is, let's say, disc profile, a high I, who's a very kind of a person who's very outgoing and outspoken and all that kind of stuff, he should be more of like the sales guy as opposed to the guy who's, let's say, doing the paperwork in the back office. He's going to hate that, right? So when you start looking from that perspective, all of a sudden things start changing. And the most important thing is you had to let go of the reins. You had to let go of a lot of different things, right? Just let it go. We had let it go was a big mantra, wasn't it? Let it go.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And it's so, I don't know, it's so rewarding, I feel, to give back to my guys. I've been trying to, pay them a little extra or bonus them here or there, and give them, these little perks along the way, just to show appreciation, hey, I know you don't see a lot of me, but I want you to know that you are appreciated here. And it's there for a while, the lead guy I'm talking about, I was a little nervous that he may be leaving and, looking for another job here or there. And I kept, working with him and he never said anything, but, you just have this inkling, and so I kept, trying to make him feel more included, and it's your gig, and make sure, the pay's there to support it, and recently, what was it, last year, I guess he bought a new house, or a fairly new house, and just recently, I guess two things that, I don't know if I can say, it makes me proud, makes me smile. We were in a conversation somewhere, I'm not even sure how it came up, and he came out and he said, Jay, he said, man, he said, I love you and Rose. He said, I'm not going anywhere. He said, I'm staying right here, he goes. And, obviously talks cheap, but I believe him. I believe what he said there. And then I guess another one just came up last week was in helping him to go to Costa Rica. Out of the blue, I received a thank you card from him saying, "Jay, thank you and so much for everything you're doing." I'm like, wow, I don't know if I ever received a card from my employee before, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. But see, it all comes back how you treat them, how you interact with them, because I know how much you pour into them, and not only just from the spiritual, right, or pouring into them from mental perspective, but you also pour into them in financial ways and all kinds of different things. And people, listen, if you give them what they need, they're not going to go anywhere. You know, if they love doing stuff with you, they're going to be around you. Some people are an employee mindset and they're going to stay and they're going to be there for you. So awesome. All right. Next question. Jonathan, do you feel like you both accomplished your goals faster as a result of Lifeonaire and the community? If so, how? And what is the time worth?
So, okay, Jonathan. I guess the first question I would ask is, what goals, Jonathan? At that point, I didn't have no goals except for make more money, I guess. More money, man. More money, more money. That was my craze, I guess. That was my drive for sure. So other than that, I didn't have a lot of goals, and that's what I guess I see as a huge thing of Lifeonaire. Just recently, I was talking with a friend. He was talking about, well, should I join Lifeonaire? I'm really paying down on my bills a lot, and I'm really making a lot of progress. Should I join or not? And I'm like, man, it's more than about making money and paying bills. It's about life. It's about your mind, your mindset in life. And so after we joined Lifeonaire, we started making goals. And yes, with the accountability there and the coaching to help us see that, hey, there is a way to get to the end of the tunnel. Absolutely. With Lifeonaire, it helped push us forwards. First, create goals and a vision, and then help us get to there a lot quicker than I was stumbled at for the next 1 year.
Sure. Do you have anything, Roseanne, in regards to that? Like, what's the time worth and all that kind of stuff? What do you think about all this?
I totally agree with that. When I saw that question pop up, my thoughts were exactly the same. What goal? We didn't really have specific goals. We didn't have a written down vision. You kind of have this idea in your head, well, this is what would be nice, but as far as writing a vision or creating waypoints to get there, there was no such thing. So I absolutely agree with what he said. It's with Lifeonaire and setting your goals every 4 months and having accountability. There's no way to measure how much that has changed.
So one word that comes to me, I guess, in the last couple of years, especially since I've joined Lifeonaire, is intentional. Life does not happen, or well, it does happen, I guess, but the outcome is going to be, if you want a specific outcome, you got to be intentional about it. And that is what Lifeonaire has helped me to see, put some goals, write some goals down, and be intentional about hitting those goals. And that's probably the one word, if you ask for a word, maybe that's really been helped push me towards and keep me focused is intention.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think the vision allows you to be intentional, all right? Because it's like staring you right in the face and you start looking at like, hey, what do I need to do? And stuff like that. All right. If anybody else has any questions, put them in the chat. Eric, I see you raised your hand. I don't know if you still want to ask a question. Trying to figure out how to get you to unmute you. I am a panelist, so I don't think I can actually unmute you. See, I think Vojo keeps me in the reins. He's like, I don't want to give this guy the whole 9 yards, So if you can speak up, always good. All right. So let me ask you this, because now it seems to me like, is your vision evolving as you're going through this process? Do you feel like it's evolving?
I think it has. It's one of those things that there's certain things that as you grow, you see more. And so it's like, well, my goal is to hit this. And once you get there, it's like, well, that wasn't as big as the goals I thought it was. And I'll let you take that one. Actually, I feel you have an area that you're walking that kind of portrays that a little bit. So,
Yeah, definitely setting a goal has made a huge difference, and being held accountable. There's just, you can say, well, I'm going to walk more, but that doesn't really say exactly, what you're thinking. But you put a number to it, a time frame to it, it definitely makes a difference.
and then as you hit that goal, what happens?
And then you feel rewarded, you feel accomplished and fulfilled, and it's like, okay, that was fun. Let's do it again. Let's do a little bigger this time.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you hit that 550 in that 1 year. Because if I remember at the beginning, I think if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be totally off, but at the beginning of the year, you were kind of like 100, 125, I don't know. Right. But as you're going through this goal and you're focusing, like you were 10 miles every week, you start seeing the progress and you're like, you know what, I can actually go further.
Yeah, definitely. Last year, I noticed that I think it was in the month of June that I looked at my yearly amount, and I'm like, you know what, this is halfway through the year. If I would just up it a little this month, by the end of June, I could have 250. That's halfway to 500. That'd be kind of cool. Well, I got to December and I was at 500. I said, well, let's see how many more I can get. And so, yeah, I made 550 till the end of December.
Right. And by the way, I will tell you guys this from my view in our group, the T7 group, when it comes to walking, when it comes to those kinds of things, she set the bar in the group. And other people, when they're putting that on their goals, now they start looking, okay, you know what, it is possible, right? I mean, not to take anything away from you, but it's like, if Roseanne can do it, I can do it, right? And it happens like that in our groups, guys, as you're going through it. If you're in a titanium coaching, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not in a group, this is the kind of stuff that helps you with the mindset shift, right? You hear somebody say something, or this coach keeps poking at you, and it's like, dude, just let it go, let it go, let it go, right? Or focus goes, energy flows, that kind of stuff. I have a question here from Jonathan. How has your marriage been affected in the last few years?
Well, I would say it's definitely drawn us together because we have more goals and we stop and think together more often, especially, as she said, Thursday mornings, we have our life meetings or whatever. And so we get together and discuss anything and everything that need to be discussed, whether it's, life or some of it's business, since we work together in the business as well. Sometimes we, go out for lunch or whatever it is. So even just the thing of sitting down and getting together more often and talking about some goals that we have, or what we want to do in the next week or month or year. We never really did that before, and so it has definitely improved that. I mean, so many things have come out of the last couple of years. One thing I thought about that we hadn't touched on yet is we started homeschooling our children here. We just finished up our second year. That's huge. That's unthought of 5 years ago or whatever. We had never thought of dreaming of doing that. So a lot of these things, definitely take a lot of working together. I mean, we still got our hiccups from time to time, but hey, it's we know they're just challenges and bumps, and we're going to work through them together. That's the only way, that's the only way we're going to do it. we're a team in this, and bump's not going to throw us off the road. We're going to work together and make it happen.
Right. I love that, because here's the thing, like you just mentioned, the homeschooling. What you guys are doing, I think a lot of couples are doing this in Lifeonaire. You're affecting generations moving forward, because the thing that you were talking about, working hard, I got to do this. Where did you get that from?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Parents kind of thing, right? Yeah. So there is that, you're affecting the generations moving forward. And now your boys are seeing like dad is home and you guys are hanging out and looking at the, spending time on ham radio and things like that, going on vacation. And all of a sudden they start seeing, okay, so how did she do it? Right? And sooner or later, I think they're probably start asking you questions if they're not already, like the older ones, what are your thoughts and that kind of stuff. And I feel like what's happening for you, because I know for you, spiritual walk is super important and you've grown a lot in that particular area. And I feel like God is leading you into more of like being and ministering into people's lives, because you've been in this a lot more lately. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, or.
Well, it's a little difficult to know what to say. Yes, I totally agree with that. God has been working in my life, well, for years and years. But I do feel here in the last year, God has called me to open my eyes, I guess, to seeing a lot of things that I was not the person I was once again saying that I was. In my spiritual life, just showing up to church and going through the ritual, so to say, but really deep down in it was not the person I really was, and God has showed me that this past year, and has blessed me so tremendously in regards to that. Here, coming into this year. So many blessings I feel that He's pouring into our lives by just stepping out in faith here, especially since last year. The COVID shut down the church there where we was at, and give me time and the clarity of stepping back and analyzing myself and the church and where I am, where am I really at? No fake face, hypocrisy or whatever, but who I truly am. And so through that, we actually stopped going to the church we were currently going to, and we're going to another place. It's actually a group of like-minded believers that just walking in faith and trusting God. And I feel of doing that is a big shift for me.
Yeah.
And in that, I feel God is really blessing us in that.
Yeah. So on a spiritual level, man, one thing I'll tell you guys about Jay, he's very faithful. Well, say very faithful. He's faithful in his walk. I mean, there are some struggles, right? There is this kind of like but he's trusting the Lord and he's opening the doors for him. And what's happening, he's growing tremendously in this area, not discounting Roseanne because she's growing tremendously in this area as well. And I think God is putting the pieces in your life, like the fact that you are now struggling to do 1 or 2 hours, I think you said, on the yard. Now it allows you to actually do a lot more important work. Who knows where it's going to lead you, right? There's a next phase in your life that you might be going to. And I love how, and it's a great example, I think you guys, as looking at like with your vision and your walk and the Lord that's putting this in front of you. He's got a plan. And as you're walking in this walk and trusting the process, you guys probably heard this phrase many times, right? In our group, trust the process, trust the process. And all of a sudden the doors are opening up, certain doors are closing and other ones are opening. And, you start living the life that you truly want. All right. I got another question here. I think you guys mentioned about your call life meetings or your meetings that you have. Can you say more about your life meetings? Are they scheduled? Just the two of you? How long?
Well, So we just last week we had a Get a Life 3-day here locally, and we went and hung out with Jason, Wojo, and Peter, and a bunch of others. And I guess the biggest thing that stood out to me in that is I need to work on my calendar more. So no, it's not really. It's scheduled. But as far as a time frame, how long, we don't have a time frame. We just, have breakfast in the morning. A lot of times, actually, Thursday's my meeting day. Not totally, I guess. Wednesday mornings for the last about 3 years now. Me and a friend have been meeting every Wednesday morning, just business and life, whatever we discuss there. Thursday mornings here within the last, I guess this year, Thursday mornings, I started meeting with my 2 oldest sons. Relationships is something that was never much a part of my life before, and it's something I feel this year is going to be, relationships is my word for this year. I'm trying to build relationships, and so I said in that, my sons have to be improved in that, and so I have a conference room or whatever where I meet a lot of other people, and we get breakfast in or whatever. A lot of times early morning, 6 o'clock or something. We get some breakfast in, and I'm like, you know what? Why would I do the same thing with my boys? And so this year I started doing that, and get some breakfast with them, treat them like men. And we've been watching some different motivational videos. We've been going through a workbook. Teaching them about leadership and becoming a man and those type of things. And then later, my wife will come, we'll get together, usually 10 o'clock-ish, something like that, and stay till 12:30, 1 o'clock, where we'll go for lunch, either, get lunch with the children, or sometimes we'll go out and have lunch or something. So a couple hours just discussing anything and everything that life seems to not have time to discuss.
Sometimes we'll each have a list, like, oh, I thought of this during the week, let's talk about this, let's discuss this. And sometimes there's not much of an agenda, but there's usually no problem with finding things to talk about.
Yeah. Or especially with Jay, right? Oh. I'm joking, yeah. But no, that's not what I mean. But listen, I mean, here's the one thing that I'm hearing from you guys: the way you've got your life sort of created, the way he set it up for you guys, gives you the ability to have those kinds of meetings, right? And that's not time scheduled. I'm sure that probably some of the meetings that you go to outside of the household, you're meeting somewhere, you probably have some time frame set in place. I get it. Some of them you have a longer ones, right? But it gives you ability to have say how long this calendar is going to be on, how long this meeting is going to be. And that's a cool thing to be able to pour into your family. And look what's happening with you boys, man. I'm so freaking impressed by that. It's awesome, man. I love it. All right.
Oh, yeah. And time is something I've been trying to, stress more, hey, this is what I want to do. It's a mindset, a mind shift for me, it's not all about work. It's relationships this year. So I really don't care how long it takes. Let's just sit here and talk. If it takes 3-4 hours, that's fine. I've got all day. I have nothing better to do.
Did you hear that, Roseanne?
That's a tough mind shift that I'm still working on, actually. But in that, and I'll give you one example of how that works. So my friend that I meet with on Wednesday mornings, he's a businessman. He has a automotive garage, and I don't know, half a dozen employees working for him. But he has this feeling, he feels guilty and says, man, I got to be back to the shop at 7:30, sharp. And I kept challenging him on that, like, you sure, man? Come on. Them guys got it, don't beat yourself up. I've been talking with him, and recently I guess if you want to say, put the Peter push to him. I was like, man, what would happen today if you didn't show up back to work till 8 o'clock instead of 7:30? I mean, they got the keys, they can unlock the place, they can get started, right? Yeah. And so just recently he did. He started staying till, having breakfast a little bit longer and just discussing things. And I can see so much growth in his life in other areas because he's pushing himself out of his comfort zone. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool to see, not to take credit for it or whatever, but to see that something I'm learning from Lifeonaire, I'm able to plan into someone else, and he's benefiting from it because he has a family just as I do, and he has same struggles I do, and it's interesting. It's encouraging to see that as well.
Where we go, Coach Jay? You might not see it, but that's what you're kind of doing there, and that's awesome, man. I love it. Listen, guys, if anybody else has any kind of questions or comments, put them in the chat or in the Q&A section. Remember, next Wednesday, the 28th, I'm doing the full day workshop on the mind shift. Jay kind of mentioned a few times. Yeah, I know. It's like, you're going to listen to this Pollock for a whole day. From 10 to 4, I am doing this entire call is going to be a mindset, mind shift, the beliefs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to touch up a lot of the different things that here with Jay that I've been talking to him over the years and things like that, and eliminating some of those limiting beliefs, getting your mindset right. And when you do that, all of a sudden you see shifts happening in your life you're going the right place, right? If you are in the titanium program, you get this workshop, I think, for free. You just have to email events@lifeonaire.com. I think Paula's going to be the one handling that, so she can just let you know and get your seat put together. If you're not in the titanium program, I think you head over to lifeonaire.com/mind shift. Lifeonaire.com/mind shift. And hopefully you guys understood what I said, right? Mind shift. All right. Mindshift, and there's a ticket on there. You purchase the ticket, and you can be on this particular full day workshop. We're going to have exercises. We're going to talk through different strategies. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm working on this right now. I'm just getting excited myself, just putting it together. So it's cool. I'm a little pressure because I got a full day of work, but I think it's going to be great. Any other questions, comments? Is there anything I didn't ask you guys that you wanted me to ask you?
I don't know. I think that pretty much sums a lot of it up. I do want to say, hey, life's not all just a bed of roses now. I mean, it is still a struggle and a grind, and we still have opportunities that pop up that I still like grabbing onto sometimes, and some other things with work sometimes it comes in. It kind of, how do you balance things? It's an ongoing challenge, but the biggest thing is even if you do get sidetracked for a short period of time, these things will happen, and some of them are a good sidetraction or whatever, a good distraction or whatever to help someone or whatever it may be. These things happen in life. Biggest thing is having your goal in place so that you can come back to that, know where your goal is and where you're going. Whereas if you don't have a goal, you get off on a distraction, and who knows where you'll wind up if you don't have a goal to come back and strive for.
Awesome. Any last minute comments, Roseanne? What would you say to somebody when they're thinking about, well, that's easy for you to say because you guys are a pretty cute little couple, but what about me?
Yeah, no, I agree with Jay. We are a work in progress. Yes, I am very, very thankful, forever grateful for the things we have learned in Lifeonaire and the things we're continuing to learn. And like you said, if things come up, it's huge to have steps to take and processes that you can fall back on. It's like, okay, we're not gonna go off in the ditch. We're not gonna get totally under pressure or overwhelmed. We know what it takes to come back. So yeah, it takes a lot of work. It's not just all easy peasy cute people sitting in the chair, but
right.
if you put the work into it, the effort into it, that's what makes the difference.
Right. Especially when it comes to mindset stuff. Because here's the thing. I mean, whether you realize it or not, you've been living with yourself with that mind your whole life. So that is probably one of the toughest things to work through, right? But if you are willing to do it and open to do it and being coachable, because I could tell Jay till the cows come home, let it go. And he could be like, you know what, I don't want them to see. Yeah. But if you are open to it, all of a sudden things start to change. So coachable, committed, looking like in a group, and all of a sudden you start making a difference. So I see somebody say, love you guys, you rock, and you rock this interview. Would you look at that? That's a good thing to end up. Where to go? Touchdown in my book. I love you guys. Yeah, I'm proud of you. Listen, for both of you, I can't wait to see what happens for you guys in the next vision, in the next part of your life, because I think God has plans for you guys that you're not even aware of, I'm not aware of, and I think I'm excited to see what He got for you next. So thank you guys for coming out here and sharing the story with us. I appreciate it, seriously.
Well, you're welcome, Peter. I just want to say thank you, Peter, and Lifeonaire for everything you've done for us, because it has definitely put us at a spot. I'd like to say years ahead, but I don't even know if that's possible, because it put us in a whole different track. I was on the wrong line, man. So with Lifeonaire and with Peter's help, it put us on the right line, getting us to where we're actually going to go. And without Lifeonaire, I don't think we would have wound up where we are now, even basically for whatever, but, So thank you, Peter, for sure. Thank you, and Lifeonaire, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take the acknowledgement, but guess what? At the end of the day, it's you guys. So all I'm doing is just poking, doing like one of those things, right? And you know how I poke. You guys probably sometimes uncomfortable, but you guys are doing all the work. So awesome. I love it. Thank you guys for being on this, call, for all of you taking the time and listening to the story and sharing this with us. And if you haven't booked for the next week, that's July 28th, Wednesday, 10 to 4 Eastern, the workshop, full-day workshop, lifeonaire.com/mindshift. And we're going to be talking all about my mindset. And this is my area that I just love. And I can't wait to share this stuff with you guys. So thank you, guys. I'll see you guys on the next call.
All right. See you, Peter. See you, everyone.